Hey there, everybody. I think we are live. I'm going to double check just to make sure we show up because, as always, I'm sure the one time that I don't check that we're live will be the one time we don't show up. And there we are. So, hey there, I'm Jason Logston, and this is Exploring Sous Vide. We're all about helping you get the most out of your sous vide machine while talking to some of the biggest names in the industry. Today's sponsor is the ISVA Best of 2020 Showcase. I can't wait for this. It's a free video showcase highlighting 13 great chefs and cooks. They're going to be sharing some of their favorite dishes from 2020 and some holiday classics. I forget the entire list of people, but we got Darren Wilson, David Petranzik, David LaForce, a lot of good people. The always wonderful Mike Lashardi will be there. So you're going to want to check that out. I posted the link in. It is free, and it's coming up this weekend. And as always, remember, you can join us live every Thursday when we record these episodes. You can ask the guest questions, talk to the other cooks in the comments, and even see our smiling faces. So on to the show. Nothing brings people together more than food. From having family and friends over to cooking for strangers, food always forges connections. And with Sous Vide, you can remove a lot of the stress from the process. Today's guest is the perfect person to show us how. She is from Lexington, Kentucky, where she grew up with strong Southern roots and a huge heart for hospitality. She now lives in Louisville, Kentucky, with her husband, Justin, and runs the food blog called Fueling a Southern Soul. It provides easy and delicious recipes that aim to gather people around the table. Her goal is to help people invite others into their homes to gather around the table for tasty food and drinks and love them deeply through a meal and hospitality. I can't wait to learn from today's guest, Heather Bilyeu from Fueling a Southern Soul. Heather, welcome to Exploring Sous Vide.
It's so good to be here. I'm really excited.
Everyone say hi to Heather in the comments. I see Mike is on here. We got Kevin Liddell saying, how's it going, Huggy Bear? That's my nickname that Kevin gave me. The people I missed that are also going to be speaking are Mark Webb, Rosemary Simpson, Dale Prince, Cole Wagoner, a big list of people. And we might be able to get Heather at a future one doing a demo for us. We'll have to give her the hard sell here.
It won't be that hard.
I can't wait to dive into the really cool things you're doing, and especially around hospitality and some of the fun stuff. But before we get started, I always like to ask, what is it like around your dinner table on a typical day?
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of depends. We usually eat a lot later. It's just my husband and I. And we usually like eat on the couch around the fire, especially this time of day or year. But it's usually simple, just like a protein, some veggies, a salad, anything that I've made for the vlog that week. We'll always eat the leftovers. And we just kind of rotate a lot. I get really tired of things easily, so I'm always trying to change it up. And I go in and out of phases of like wanting to experiment or just using what I've made for the blog. So it kind of depends. But we like healthy and simple and easy pretty much.
It took me a long time to get a lot better at cooking stuff for the blog and then actually reusing it. We had many nights that my wife was like, I can't wait to eat dinner because of the pictures that you sent me while I was at work. And I'm like, can we just do like pizza? Because I am tired of cooking right now.
That is a problem too. My parents own a catering company and they say that all the time, like we're just tired of food and stuff. So that can be a problem. But usually whenever I've made something, I tell my husband, Justin, I'm like, don't eat this yet until I take some pictures. And then I'm like free reign. I bring it into the living room and he has a time with it. So it's fun.
And I heard congrats are in order. You're the new food columnist for Kentucky Living magazine.
Yes, that just happened a couple weeks ago. So I haven't really even announced it much, but I'm really, really excited. So it's a big popular magazine here. It's the largest one distributed in the state. And the two that have been there prior have been there for like 18 years and 15 years. When they were telling me about it, I'm like, oh, wow, that's a long time. So,
wow.
But I'm really excited. And so I'm hopefully bring some, they're trying to reach a younger audience a little bit too, but they're really interested in food videos and kind of reaching out until their social market, which they don't do a little bit. So I'm really excited to help out and be along. And the first issue comes out in March of next year. And actually just turned in all the pictures and stuff today. So I'm really excited about it.
That's amazing. How did that come about?
super, super random. I got an email from him one day and said, "Hey, we had someone tell us about your blog, would be interested." I honestly had no idea what it was. I've never written for a magazine. I'm like, "Sure." And they're like, "Can we hop on a call?" And then come to find out, my freshman roommate, they were in a call together, and the lady who I talked to said that they had just mentioned they had just lost their food columnist, and she recommended. She's like, "Hey, I know this girl who runs this blog. You should check her out." So it just small world, and I texted her later on that day, and I was like, "Leslie, thank you so much." It was so random, but it just kind of reached out, and I actually felt like they were like pitching me to like come along. But it was very much a fake it till you make it moment. And yeah, sure, I'll do whatever you all want. Just let me know. And it worked out. I'm really excited. So I think it's going to be a good fit and something new, and it'll be fun.
Well, congrats. That's amazing. Do you have any real interesting columns planned or content that you can't
Um,
wait to get out there?
Yeah, so far it's just we've gotten the March one done already. It's just one recipe a month, so it's a monthly magazine, and then they're going to feature. It's a co-op, an electric co-op, so they're going to have a reader recipe as well. So readers are starting to submit their recipes, which will be fun. And so I'm starting out with a hot bacon and mustard spinach salad for spring and things. So we're just kind of it's going to go on season and holidays and things like that throughout the year. With it just being once a month, it's pretty easy to plan out the rest of the year. But that's the first one, and we're kind of waiting on the read recipe to come in. So I'm excited to see that, and I'll test it and shoot it and make a video and go from there.
That's amazing. And you've been doing a lot of work with Vesta as well, correct?
Yes, I love them. Chelsea from A Duck Seven, which I know you know, we've connected via Instagram for a while now, and it just she was the only other one, especially female, who I saw doing sous vide stuff, and we just connected and have been Instagram friends, real friends. I don't know for a while. And once she got the marketing job, she's reached out a couple of times. So I contribute to their blog on their website twice a month, and I love it. It's so much fun. It's doing different things, a lot of vacuum sealing stuff as well, not just sous vide, and using all their products. And I love them. They're great.
Yeah, Vesta has great products, and Chelsea's been great to work with at the ISVA here. She's always helping out a lot.
She's amazing. I love her.
I saw you recently did a post on sous vide Christmas gifts. What type of things did you come up with?
That was actually one for Vesta that I did. And I did a lot of infusions, which is something that I'm just starting to get into. And I'm like, why have I not done infusions? Yeah, I don't know. But we're being from Kentucky, we're a big bourbon state and fans, and so, especially my husband. So I did an old fashioned, like an orange and thyme old fashioned cocktail, and just a little bit of sugar, orange and bourbon and thyme, and then an olive oil infusion, which is just like simple, but I had never done it before. And it was a garlic and rosemary one, and then little cream brulee, and all little things that you can package up and give to someone. And it just as a little twist on a homemade treat instead of cookies or something else. So it was really fun.
The old fashioned sounds really good. I love old fashions, and I like the idea of putting the thyme in there. It sounds like you're making a nice little tweak on it.
Just a little something different. I wish I liked bourbon. I love the smell of it, and I love cooking with it. I'm a big wine person, but my husband takes care of the bourbon for us. So
Nice. That was nice of you to cook it for him.
yeah, he enjoys it. But being from Kentucky, it was a fun little like hometown twist to put on it. But
Mike just gave my apple pie bourbon a shout out.
yeah.
It is one of the ISVA favorites. It keeps prop.
He loves to mix like spiced apple cider and bourbon in the fall and stuff, like warmed up as a little, not a hottie toddy, but kind of a fall bourbony treat.
I know you focus a lot on bringing people together in their homes with people they love. How has that changed this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's different, but I think one thing that's been so cool about this year is families coming back together around the table. So as much as I love having others into our home, we grew up eating dinner around the table every single night together, and there's just something that can be said for just gathering at the table with your family and talking and not being on phones or watching TV. And so I think people have gotten the chance to do that this year and just spend time with their kids or whoever they're living with. And it's just brought us back to the basics and what we've enjoyed, and just slowing down a lot. So even though we're not having big gatherings and things, I think just still remembering the importance of just talking and sharing the meal with the family is super important, and not to forget that, because it can be easy when things are rushed and busy and soccer practice and school and all the things, and like dinner time can get pushed to the side a lot, which I totally understand and do myself too. But this year it's just allowed us all to slow down and enjoy and get back to the basics.
I feel like we, at least myself right now, I appreciate hanging out when it does happen, when I have, when we have a raging party of 3 people in our backyard and it feels, we're all on opposite sides and it feels crazy, but
Yeah,
I appreciate those moments a lot more than when I was seeing these same people, once a week.
yeah. I think it's made us not take for granted some of those things, and we'll all definitely enjoy it once it happens again. But just appreciating the things that are super important in our lives and that actually matter, and the people that matter. I think that this year has taught us a lot of those things, or just helped us remind what's actually really important.
Um, In regular times, what are some keys to successfully entertaining people, since you do that a lot?
I think planning is the biggest thing, and it doesn't have to be stressful. And just getting ahead of what you want to make. It doesn't have to be elaborate. I joke all the time. I'm like, just have people over and make them cereal. They don't care. Like, you know, but planning and shopping ahead of time, prepping as much food as you can ahead of time. A lot of stuff can be made either the day before, or chopped, or things are made that morning. Cleaning the house the day before, just like little things, so that by the time it's time for the people to come over, you can actually enjoy it and spend time with them, and you're not like running around cooking and doing all the last minute things, but you're calm and you're ready to have fun as well. And I think that's just the biggest thing, because it's a lot of work to entertain. It's a lot of, even if it's just 2 people over, it's still a lot of planning and thought. But you want to enjoy it and not be like, why did I do this? So I think planning is a big key in that.
I've been surprised how much teaching cooking classes and doing videos has helped me have stress-free parties, because like if you ever teach a cooking class and you're not prepared going into it, that will be the only time you do it, because it is a horrible experience.
Right. Yeah. It takes a lot of thought and effort on the front end.
Yep. So now I have like all my stuff ready to go. It's all pre-cut. Most of the food's already cooked. It's been a lot more enjoyable being able to spend more time with people while they're here instead of being in the kitchen.
Yeah, for sure.
Most of the time. Occasionally I'll be like, I wouldn't mind hiding in the kitchen for a little bit, but that's
Right.
okay. Mike says that's why he doesn't let me teach anymore. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. What's your kind of go-to? Do you have a signature dish for when people come over that they look forward to, or a style that they're interested in?
Not really. It just kind of, I have lots of, like, my cravings kind of go up and down. So I'll make either what I'm craving, or just kind of what's seasonal or easy. Or I usually always do a charcuterie board, or like some kind of cheese
Mm.
and stuff for nibbles. That's like I like to have like drinks and an appetizer ready for when people come over, just so that when stuff is finished, because usually they don't like arrive right on time.
Yeah.
It's lingering and enjoying and whatever, and that way dinner doesn't have to be and finish up cooking. But it just kind of depends on like what I'm in the mood for, what they want. In the summertime, we love to grill out and do things like that. A lot of the bigger parties that we do around the holidays, I'll have people bring stuff. So either bring an appetizer or bring a side, so they can, because a lot of times people say, can I bring anything? And I've gotten over my, like, I used to be like, no, I'll do it all. But now I like let people help, and they can either bring a bottle of wine or bring a dessert or whatever they want. And so that way they can feel a part as well. So just kind of depends on the season, but I don't have a signature anything except the cheese board. It's always
Nice. You can start to get known for stuff occasionally, and then you have to have it. Like the cheese board. If they showed up and there was no cheese, they'd be like,
Well,
"Why
I
am I
do
even here?"
the chocolate chip cookies that are usually always requested. And my parents came up with a kale salad that has become a staple. So now that you say that, those 2 things are usually on it. But yeah.
I made some alcoholic gels, and so now every time people come over, I have to have some form of gelled alcohol in different forms and flavors. It changes, but they always are looking like, where's the cubes of like apple cider that I get to eat and get drunk on?
That's awesome. It's like a grown-up version of college, but better.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, very, very high class Jello shots, very adult gummies.
That's awesome.
So you recently did mini cheesecakes sous vide.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about your process there?
Yeah, that was one of the first desserts that I made. I love cheesecake. My husband is like the biggest sweets monster on the entire planet. Don't put me in front of a bag of like salty, cheesy, crunchy things because I'll just like eat them all. But sweets, I'm like, eh. So cheesecake is one of my husband's most favorite desserts, and I really enjoy it too, but I never make it. One, because it takes forever and it's kind of like a cumbersome process. And two, it's hard to like make it small for just two people because if we have it in the house, we're gonna eat it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, there is no chance we can keep a whole cheesecake in the house because we're gonna eat it. And so when I first got the sous vide, that was one of the first things I wanted to try. I'd seen some other people do it, and I'm like, this is amazing. It's like literally 2 bites. It's enough for what you need. There's nothing to go to waste. And I loved it. And I'm like, why? How did I not know about this before? Everyone who just like needs a little bitty cheesecake can now just sous vide it, and it's perfect. And same thing with like creme brulee or like anything. It's just like just enough bite size for everyone. It's not too much, not too little. So it's great.
Yeah, I do pot de creme sometimes for parties and like in the little mason jars, and they're so easy, and you can just set them out, and everyone just
Yeah.
loves them.
And
That's
there's
the
something so like fun and cute about mini desserts too. I think it makes them taste a little bit better, but
yeah,
just they're fun.
has that nice visual appeal, and everyone gets their own, so that they don't
Right,
have to fight over it.
right, exactly.
What type of you talked about that you've been making egg bites.
Mhm.
What's your go-to garnishes in your egg bites? I know they can be a contentious subject for people. They love their breakfast foods.
Yeah, I'll do whatever. The 2 I make the most is either, like, with a full egg and bacon and cheddar, just, like, classic, you can't go wrong, or I'll do an egg white one with, like, roasted red peppers and spinach and some herbs, like basil or whatever I have on hand, and then either, like, a Monterey Jack usually whatever cheese we have. I'm a big proponent of just using what you have in the fridge,
Mhm.
so some sort of combination of that. So we'll go a little bit lighter with the egg white or just bacon and cheddar all the way.
Nice and classic. I like that. Mike says that his two holiday desserts this year are caramel apple cheesecake and chocolate
Mm,
peppermint pot de cremes.
that sounds delicious. I've not tried a pot de creme, so I need to put that on my list of things to do next. And the peppermint one sounds very festive for this time of year.
I highly recommend the pot de cremes. They are just so rich and delicious. Um, Kevin asks, since Darren brought it up, have you ever done mutton sous vide before? He says, I've only had medium rare mutton at Keen's Steakhouse, and that's actually the only other place that I have had it in New York. Keen's mutton chop is amazing. Have you ever used sous vide for that or experienced
No,
cooking mutton?
not at all. Sorry, but I have nothing to contribute to that one. No, it
Nice.
would be amazing though.
I've done I would assume that it's just, typical lamb time and temperatures, like 130, 135 or something, but I
Lamb
could be
is
horribly
something
wrong.
that I would love to do. I've not experimented with it, like lamb chops or something like that. Our CSA that we have has a lamb share and eggs and bread and stuff. So next summer, I'm definitely planning on trying to get some of their fresh lamb and experimenting with that. So
It's so good. And my wife's not a lamb fan at all, but she really likes sous vide lamb. I'm
mhm.
slowly bringing her around after.
It's good when it's done right.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Like, oh no, what happened?
I dropped myself from the broadcast. I made fun of my wife, and that's what I get is I get kicked out of my own show. Sorry about that. Um, what other infusions do you have that you're interested in playing around with?
I would love to try some more just different olive oil ones, just since that's something I cook with all the time. And just I really love the flavor combination and kind of the depth that it added to the dish I would use it in. Um, more cocktails. I don't know. I'm kind of open to anything, but those two things, I'm like, oh gosh, I can't believe that it's taken me this long I've seen other people do it. I get stuck in my rut of cooking the same thing for us or doing stuff for the blog and not really focusing on experimenting and playing in the kitchen and having fun. I have a hard time like when I lose that a little bit. So it sparked that creativity of like just get in the kitchen and play because this is what you love. So I'd love to kind of do some more cocktails and olive oil infusions, but open to and suggestions too.
You should check out the last 2 showcases ago that we did was the Infusions showcase, and so we have 6 or 8 different infusions in there. Some real interesting ones. Mike just threw up a link to the Tuscan olive oil infusion recipe.
Yes.
And Mike also said that it was so much better without me on the broadcast. Such nice fans, and business partners.
Very supportive.
Have you done much seafood with your sous vide?
I have, well, not much. I usually do salmon, which I do enjoy, but I find it sometimes hard that it can be really tender and hard to it falls apart a little bit easily and when you're trying to sear it and stuff after. This last time I made it a couple weeks ago, I just didn't even sear it. I just kind of gently slid it out of the bag and just ate it.
What's your go-to temperature for salmon?
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I can never remember any temperature ever. And the very first sous vide that I got was in Innova a couple years ago, and their app that connected to it has a guide, and I still use that every single time, no matter how many times I've cooked chicken or steak. I'm like, I gotta go make sure. So if I check my app for my temperature guides, I can let you know. And that's so embarrassing, but I'm like, I just can never remember I think it's just so many different things, but I do use my little cheat sheet all the time. But I love salmon. I did a shrimp cocktail, which I really liked. But those are usually the only 2. There's some other seafoods that I just cook in the oven. But those are our 2 main seafoods we eat a lot. Scallops, but I'll just sear those. They're just easy to I don't find them that you need to sous vide them. But
what's your favorite way to serve scallops?
I just usually do it with some olive oil and butter and just sear them a couple of minutes on each side and salt and pepper. Just really simple. My husband loves them.
Nice.
And so anytime I can get some really good fresh ones on sale, that's like his special meal. So I don't do anything fancy or crazy with them just because I think they're so good with just like salt and pepper, butter, and olive oil.
You don't need to get fancy with some foods when they're high quality ingredients. They are good on their own. We got Chef Johnny joining us. How's it going, Chef? It's nice to have you in the comments over there. Always nice having some of the past guests around. Yeah. What veggies do you like to do sous vide?
Carrots are a big one. I actually had a hard time when I first was trying to figure out how to sous vide carrots just because I'm not a huge carrot lover. And not to get them the first couple times I did them, they were still too crunchy and hard. So I needed to cook them at a higher temperature for a little bit longer. I like to cook asparagus in the oven, so I didn't really particularly enjoy that one. But potatoes, I enjoy like a mashed potato or doing those type of things. But those are probably the 2 ones that I do the most. A lot of them I just keep roasting in the oven, which I know is terrible, but sometimes I'm just really particular.
That's allowed.
I like a semi-burnt vegetable, and so especially if we grill stuff, I want it charred. Justin kind of burns mine for me, and he takes his off earlier, but I just like that flavor and that taste. But carrots are the ones we do most often.
What's your favorite grilled vegetable?
So zucchini, squash, and then onions and peppers.
Sure. I love all of those. That's one of my favorite meals, like that with a grilled steak, and I could eat that for days.
And that's all you need during the summer is just grilled vegetables. And
I'm ready for winter to be over and to start grilling again. I realize we're in the first month of it, and that's it. Yeah. But
come after Christmas is over, I'm like, okay, when's it pull time? When is warm weather going to be here? I'm ready. I can do it. I'm not a cold weather person at all, but definitely after Christmas, I'm like, all right, come on, let's get over with it. It usually lasts for like 3 or 4 more months here in Kentucky. We have a mind of our own when it comes to the weather. So,
What's your favorite protein to grill?
grill, honestly, we have used the grill a lot less since we've had the sous vide, but it's usually steaks. We have not grilled a hamburger since we've had the sous vide, which is interesting. I just find those 2 things are like I like a perfectly good medium rare burger and steak, and once you do in the sous vide, I'm like, well, there's nothing better because it cooks it so well. My husband makes a really good grilled chicken too, either boneless, skinless chicken thighs or with bone-in skin on. There's just good flavor and it doesn't tend to get dried out on the grill. But he's the grill master. I don't really go in that territory. That's all him, and I stick to the inside.
Nice. The sous vide machine's yours, the grill's his. And,
Territories.
so with you doing all this food writing, who inspires you? Like, what do you look to for inspiration in your cooking and culinary work?
Gosh, that's a good question. Honestly, a lot of it comes from just like my dad and my mom and my family. We grew up, that's where I got my love of hospitality and entertaining. Growing up, we would host big church dinners all the time. People were always in our house. We would cook from anywhere from 10 people to 150 people. Like it was normal. And my parents still do the catering stuff. So I think I didn't really realize how much that was like ingrained in me and how much I loved it. And it was just like second nature until I started doing the blog. And I always knew that this is what I wanted to go to, but it kind of took a little while to kind of hone in on the vision and be like, oh yeah, just like my roots and the things that we did. So definitely just my mom and what she's instilled in us and our family and those traditions are a good main inspiration for a lot of things that I do.
How long have you been blogging now?
3 years. So not
Nice.
very long. Yeah.
It depends who you ask. It's either a real long time or, you
True.
know.
Yeah, some days are like, okay, like I'm not feeling it anymore, but tis
You've been doing it long enough to be a legitimate food blogger.
I hope so.
What's your biggest challenge when it comes to sous vide? Like whether it's items that you struggle with or timing
Um,
or
I think right now is I am scared to be adventurous with it. I think I just stick with a lot of like basic things that work for us and I love. I think I've never done like a super long sous vide, like, 24, 48, whatever hour situation. Not that I struggle with it, but I think maybe I'm like, I don't know if I know how to do it. Why I've never tried, I'm not sure. Experimenting with times and temperatures, I'm always when I first do it, I'm like, ooh, I hope it works or whatever. That's why the guide is like always, my first source of reference or Google is always a good one. But I think just maybe getting over the fear of intimidation of it. And it's not, and I feel super comfortable with it, but I like know what I know and then I stay cozy in that little area. But I would love to kind of venture out and do some more maybe elaborate things and dip my toe in that. So yeah, I
nice.
find it very easy to use, but and that's why I feel like every home cook should have one, just because I find it such a valuable kitchen appliance, in my opinion. When my brother got it for me for Christmas a couple years ago, and I was like, cool. Like I'd heard of it, didn't quite know how it worked. I knew like, oh, I think they use this in restaurants. And never in a million years would I have said that I would have used it and loved it as much as I do. And I can never not have one now. And we use it multiple times a week. And I'm like, every home cook, if you enjoy cooking, you need a sous vide. So
It removes so much stress and worry from almost every type of cooking.
yes, and I kind of compare it a lot to a crock pot. Not that it is like a crock pot, but it's where like you can set it and forget it. And that's what I love. Like a lot of times I'll buy meat and stuff from Costco in bulk for us, and I'll season them or not even season them, but individually package them, put them in the freezer, and just literally pull them straight from the freezer and into the sous vide during the work like afternoon, and then go back to work. And then by the time I'm done, like dinner is pretty much ready. I just gotta finish up whatever, and it's just so easy. And I'm like, this is amazing. So the whole sit it, forget it, and like make it work for you, and the cleanup, no mess, like it's awesome. I love it so much.
People always ask me, I do a lot of oatmeal sous vide, and they're always like, why would you do oatmeal sous vide? And I'm like, well, because I don't have to clean up my stove from a pan spilling over, which
Yep,
I do every time I try to cook oatmeal on
yeah,
the stove. For some reason, I always screw it up. And it's like,
exactly,
I can throw it in there and never think about it again.
exactly. Yeah.
I also love it for parties where
Mhm.
you can cook like your chicken breast ahead of time, and then you can serve people chicken without worrying that you're going to, murder half your friends and family.
Right, for sure. And that's you can also overdo chicken really easily and it can be dry and tough and disgusting. So that's another, I always love that you pretty much can't mess it up. So as long as you follow some instructions and kind of learn it, it's pretty much foolproof. And you don't even have to sear it, just eat it and it's fine. It's, you know.
Yeah, I like to cook it ahead of time, chill it down, and then when people show up, I can just
Mhm.
like reheat it on the grill basically. And so I'm
Yeah,
outside doing stuff, but I already know it's safe and it's completely good to eat.
it's amazing. And I'm so glad that it's becoming more and more well known for people to be able to use for things like that. And you don't have to do anything crazy or fancy or intimidating, but just like your everyday weeknight meals, it's perfect for.
You had said that you've been doing more experimenting with Vesta's vacuum sealers, doing some different vacuum things. What interesting recipes have you been working on?
I have their chamber vac, which I love and didn't think I would, because I was like, you know, just like, too, what's it different about? Well, yeah, once I got it, I'm like, wow, this is amazing, and the whole liquids just like that has been a game changer. I didn't. Another reason I'm like, how did I survive so long without a vacuum sealer? I'm not quite sure. All the time now, especially because we stock our freezer so much. But their chamber one I love for baked goods because it's not like it doesn't break everything up, cookies or cake layers or anything that I'm making. It can be a lot more gentle and tender. And then risotto, I did that. I just like put it all in a bag and threw it in, and it was awesome and amazing. And I still think that risotto on the stove has its place and like is good, but
Mhm.
it was just like another, it's another way to do it. And if you want to make it easy and not messy and sit and forget it kind of thing. And then any soups, I've used it to freeze leftover soups a lot just because you can hang it in the liquid instead of, I find that usually I did it in, gallons of Ziploc bags and stuff and stuck it in the freezer, but it just is an extra layer of insurance that it's not going to get freezer burned and last a lot longer. So it's a really cool tool that I didn't know I was going to enjoy as much.
And you use the vertical vacuum sealer, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so convenient for liquids. And
Mhm.
my
I
parents
think
are
on
in an
like
apartment. What was that?
steaks or anything that's like juicy, that would like once you would seal it, it kind of like sucks the juices up and would have a hard time sealing sometimes. I wrestled with that a lot, and that kind of eliminates that problem.
Yeah, it's a great machine, and my parents are currently in an apartment while they're waiting for their new house, and so they don't have their vacuum sealer, and they're
Mm,
very upset because they can't save
yes.
um, like spaghetti sauce when they make that, like all the fresh vegetables, all the things that they normally save, they can't do, and they're
Yeah.
very upset by that. But
I'm a huge freezer storage person, so don't let anything go to waste.
yeah. Have you done any compression or anything like compressed watermelon or tried any of those?
No, I haven't. That sounds cool.
Yeah, once summer comes back around, you should get some watermelon, and you can throw it in there with some alcohol or some simple syrup, and then compress it, and it comes out like really firm and changes the color and stuff. It's pretty
Oh,
cool.
wow, cool. I eat my body weight in watermelon during the summer, so I will definitely have to do that.
It's a good variation on it. It
Yeah,
has like the
that's awesome.
color of like tuna almost.
Oh, interesting. Cool.
What's something that you've done sous vide that you're like, I'm just gonna do this the normal, like the traditional method is a lot better.
I think vegetables a lot. I tend to just stick with roasting, just because personal preference and things. It's not necessarily that it's any easier. I just kind of like the taste of it a little bit better. Um, and I don't like mushy vegetables, so that's probably the one. Seafood is, I mean, it's not bad for it. It's just gonna be tricky with it being so delicate and tender. But again, I still do it, and if we have salmon in the freezer, I'll just throw it in there and let it go, and just be a little. It still tastes the same, if it's like even if it's just for Justin and I, it doesn't matter. So I don't necessarily not use the sous vide for that. It just kind of depends on the recipe, but probably vegetables.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What what recipes have you been exploring for the Vesta blog coming up? Can we have a sneak
We have
peeks?
a couple things. We have a couple. The December ones haven't come out yet. They're still like holiday related. But some things for next year I'm excited about. Just kind of things that I've used. There because it's both vacuum sealer and sous vide. So kind of some things that I've used it for, and like which would be storing cake layers and things like that. So we have some fun things planned for the year, and I'm excited. They're great to work with. It's super easy. So.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing what's coming out there. I'm looking forward to seeing. You should make sure that you forward along what you do for the magazine that you're now writing with. You're doing so much interesting stuff, and we're going to have you on one of the showcases if you're up for doing a demo sometime as well, sometime next year.
Yes, that's great. Sign me up.
Well, Heather, thank you for coming on, sharing your expertise, and helping educate us a little bit about cooking for groups and all the cool stuff that you can do with sous vide. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
And this has been Exploring Sous Vide, all about helping you serve your fans, grow your. Or I did a podcast an hour ago, and I forgot what my outro was. I get confused between the two of them. So this has been Exploring Sous Vide, which is all about helping you get the most out of your sous vide machine while talking to some of the biggest names in the industry. And remember, you can see us live and when we record this show every Thursday. You can see that at afmeasy.com/show. So until next time, I'm Jason Logston. See you all next Thursday.
Bye.